Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my channel. If you're new, I'm Kelly, this is KBellaBeauty, and I am going to be filming a tag video today. I decided to join the bandwagon and film the eyeshadow palette tag. I know this tag came out a month ago, but I'm just getting back into YouTube. I'm just starting to film again, and I saw it and I was like, you know what? This looks like a fun video, so I want to join in. My friend Samantha March created this tag video with her friend Allie Glines here on YouTube, so I will have both of their videos down below, and I'm pretty sure there is some sort of playlist. I think maybe Samantha came up with a playlist where there are all kinds of videos with the eyeshadow palette tag in one. So if I can find that, I'll link that down below. Also, I do want to start off by saying my eyeshadow palette collection is significantly smaller than it's ever been since I've been on YouTube, and significantly smaller than a lot of the other videos that you'll be watching if you are watching this tag video. I definitely wanted my makeup collection to be usable. I didn't want to just have makeup just to have it. So before I had my daughter, I had a baby in 2019, which is why I took a break from YouTube. But before I had my daughter, I filmed a video ranking all of my eyeshadow palettes. So I can link that here if you're interested in checking it out. But that was after I did a huge declutter and got rid of a bunch of stuff. So anyway, I'm rambling. Let's jump into the tag video. The first question says, show your newest palette. This may be cheating, but my newest palette is not here yet. It should be here tomorrow, but I won't have a chance to film tomorrow, so I'll insert a picture of it. It is the Natasha Denona Bronze Palette. I do not have any Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes. I have heard great things about them. I feel like a lot of people who purchase her products are very satisfied with them. But the thing that excited me the most about this palette, most of her palettes are really expensive. They're like over $100. I know I had my eye on the Sunset palette for a while, but the Bronze palette was actually $65. So I thought, you know what? It's a cheaper palette for Natasha Denona, shades that I love, and I haven't purchased a palette in over a year, so I went for it. Your girl went for it. It should be here tomorrow. I'm hoping to do some looks with it and film with it and let you know my thoughts, but I'm gonna count that as my newest palette. Next up is show your oldest palette. Now, if you have been following my channel for a while or you've seen some of my older videos, then you will know that like I did have the Urban Decay Naked palette. I want to say that was like the first high-end palette that I ever purchased, like the original Naked. But I did declutter that just because I didn't really use it a lot. So in my current collection, I'm not sure if it is the Modern Renaissance palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills or if it's the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. I can't remember which one I got first, and I probably should have looked back in my videos to see, but it's one of these. I know the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette was a Christmas gift from my friend Smags a few years ago. I just can't remember if that was before or after the ABH palette. I want to go with maybe the Too Faced Chocolate Bar. This might be my oldest palette. It's definitely has not been used or loved in a while, but it's a really good palette. I wanted it because it was like an OG. Everybody on YouTube, I feel like, talked about it, and so Smags got it for me for Christmas, and I think that may be the oldest palette that I have in my current collection. My most expensive palette, again, not here yet, Natasha Denona. That is for sure my most expensive palette. Looking around at my palettes, the majority of them are all kind of in a similar price range, but yeah, that one at $65 is for sure my most expensive. Most affordable palette, I do not have any drugstore eyeshadow palettes. That sounds horrible, but I mean, if we're just being honest, I like more high-end luxury makeup. I shop at Sephora and Ulta more so than I do the drugstore, and I just haven't found any drugstore eyeshadows that I've really fallen in love with the way that I have my other eyeshadow palettes, my high-end eyeshadow palettes. So my most affordable eyeshadow palette is actually from Juvia's Place. It is the Douce palette, the Douce palette. I actually don't know if you can get this anymore. I pulled up the Ulta website to try and look up the price on this, and I didn't see it on there anymore. So I'm wondering if perhaps it's discontinued. I don't know. But anyway, her other palettes were $20. So I figure this is probably around $20, which would make it my most affordable. Show your everyday palette. Now, because my palette collection is not huge, you're definitely gonna see some repeats, but my everyday palette, the palette that I reach for the most, like when I'm going to work and stuff like that, that is for sure 100% the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. This is the palette that I reach for if I'm going to work, going out with friends, going somewhere, and I'm just like, let me grab a palette and throw some shades on. It's my ABH Modern Renaissance. Love it. Show your most colorful palette. Okay, let me take a look for a second. So for my most colorful eyeshadow palette, I'm not sure if I'm gonna say it's the Urban Decay Born to Run. Is that what this one is? Urban Decay Born to Run palette, because we do have a lot of colors in here. You can see we have like orange, purple, green, blue. We have a good assortment of colors in here, but I'm not sure if you would consider that one my most colorful or my Jacqueline Hill Morphe palette. This one, I was looking at them, and I mean, you kind of have the same tones, like purple, blue, green, and then a ton of neutral. So one of those, I'm not very good with color. I don't wear color on a regular basis. If you've been following me for a while, you know that my career is, I'm an elementary school teacher. So yeah, wearing colorful makeup is not really my thing, and I haven't even been wearing a ton of makeup the past year. But one of those would be my most colorful. Okay, I'm really sorry if you noticed the lighting change, but I was looking in my viewfinder and the video was looking a little dark, so I wanted to try and fix that for you. But if you notice it changed, that is why. Next up is your smallest palette. Now, when I'm thinking of my smallest palette, I'm thinking of size-wise, not necessarily how many eyeshadow pans there are, but I don't really have any small palettes. Like I said, gotten rid of a lot of palettes in my collection, but if I'm going with like size-wise, I would have to say it is the Master Palette by Mario. Now, pan-wise, no, because there are 12 shades in here, 12 eyeshadow shades in this palette, whereas the Juicy palette that I just mentioned has 9 pans, but size-wise, it's the Master Palette by Mario would be my smallest. Show your biggest palette. That one is easy. I do not have to question that one. My biggest palette is this guy right here, the Morphe Jacqueline Hill palette. I do really enjoy this palette. I know Jacqueline Hill is a little bit controversial at the moment, but I enjoy that palette. Show your palette with the best memory. Now, if I have to choose a palette with the best memory, I'm gonna have to go with the Dose of Colors Desi x Katie collab. This is the Friendcation palette. And okay, so I didn't get this palette at a special time, like, or anything like that. I didn't pick up this palette during a special occasion. But the reason why this palette has the best memory for me is because Desi Perkins is probably one of my favorite YouTubers here on YouTube. That was silly, but she's one of my favorite YouTubers, and I followed her for a really long time. I love her friendship with Katie. I just am a huge fan of Desi and Katie both, but I am a huge fan of Desi Perkins, and so I actually got to meet them when they did their, it was like a tour that they did, meet and greets, where they went to different cities, and I live in Houston, so when they came to Houston a few years ago, I got to meet them and take a picture with them. So this palette kind of reminds me of that because it's their collab palette, Friendcation. So I would have to say that one has the best memory for me. Show a palette worth the hype. Okay. I'm gonna have to say my ABH Modern Renaissance. The reason why this palette is worth the hype to me is because this is my everyday palette. This is the palette that I reach for when I don't know what I'm gonna wear. If I'm sitting in front of my vanity and I don't know what to do on my eyes, I reach for Modern Renaissance. I can fall back on it. Definitely got my money's worth. I am starting to hit pan, which is really exciting, on Tempura, because I can't even tell you the last time that I hit pan on an eyeshadow palette. So I know that this palette was definitely super hyped up when she came out with it, but for me, I would have to say for good reason. It's definitely worth the hype for me. Show a palette not worth the hype. Okay. So I don't think it's very, very hyped up now, but it was back in the day, and that is the Chocolate Bar palette by Too Faced. They had a whole range: the Chocolate Bar, the Semi-Sweet, the Bon Bon palette, the Peach palette. Like I said, I have the Chocolate Bar palette. It was very hyped up on YouTube. I wanted it for a really long time. Smags went and picked it up for me for Christmas, and I did enjoy it. There are some shades that I absolutely love, like Creme Brulee. That is a shade that I absolutely love. Hazelnut is very pretty. I love that you have this white chocolate shade. It's a great base shade, but it wasn't one that I found myself reaching for. It's more so a palette that I had to remind myself, Kelly, get your Chocolate Bar palette out and use it. So, I mean, super hyped up on YouTube, but I also have seen some people give that palette away in their declutters recently. So it's not really hyped up anymore, but it was at one time. Show your favorite palette from a favorite brand. Well, I feel like I'm just showing the same palette over and over and over again, but Modern Renaissance, I guess, would be my favorite. The brand that I have this is not a question on here, I don't think. Yeah, okay, so the brand that I have, this is my own question, sorry, came up with my own question here. The brand that I have multiple palettes from would be my Anastasia Beverly Hills collection. I have the Norvina palette, the Master palette by Mario, and the Modern Renaissance, which I would say Modern Renaissance is my favorite palette from a favorite brand. I love the ABH formula. I love her brow products. Totally a big fan. The only other one where I have multiple palettes are Too Faced. I do have the Chocolate Bar palette and then the Too Faced Gingerbread palette. So again, that's my own spin. It wasn't a question on the tag, but I just thought I'd throw it in there. And the last question in the tag is show your most used palette. Okay, well, I mean, I don't want to keep saying the same one over and over again, so besides the Modern Renaissance palette, because that is my most used, most loved, the highlight, the star of the show for me. My second most reached for palette, I would have to say, would be the Morphe Jacqueline Hale palette. The reason being, I mean, it's huge, it's bulky, it's definitely hard to travel with, not one I would travel with, but you have a great slew of colors. I love the neutrals. I find myself hanging out in this section a lot, but if you do want to go in with a pop of color, or if I want to do like a neutral eye, but then on the lower lash line add a pop of color, you have some color down here and you can do so. So this is probably my second most used palette. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be it for this video. This is my eyeshadow palette tag. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, Samantha and Allie, for coming up with this fun tag video. I love tag videos. If there are some other tag videos that you'd be interested in me doing, go ahead and leave them down below, and I am more than happy to do so. I love tag videos. I like making them. I like watching them. I just think they're a lot of fun. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.